webcast could be as simple as taking a live presentation and putting it on audio. It can be taking the same presentation that you see live and putting it on screen in terms of slides or put on video as well. It can also be interactive. You can do things on a webcast that you can't do on the live side of it. On the technology side, how do we do it? Basically, it splits down into two sides. The front end, or the capture, the bit that we do in the room, and the back end, or the transmission. At the front end, if you're going to add in just the audio feed, well, it's exactly the same as you do when you do a dial-in. You just add a box onto it. Doesn't cost a lot of money. We just feed the audio up. The slides, similarly, very easy to do. You take the slides, you upload them to the website. We have a laptop with a separate internet link, and it just sits there. And as the person in the room changes the slide, the operator changes them on the webcast. The next step up is going to be the video. Well, again, relatively straightforward. You've got a video crew. Then you come to the big question mark. This question mark is how you get what you're doing here, the video, to the website. With the audio, it was easy enough. You just phone up. With the slides, you've already sent them up there. With the video, you've suddenly got the issue of you want to get all this information, and it is a lot of information from a video, up onto the internet. The back end at Northcote, what do? They create a web page. If it's just unbranded and it's plain and simple, that's okay. But the next step up is to make it look like the host site, either your bank site, or make it look like the end user's site. They can then manage the registration. This is something particularly for financials, particularly for roadshows, is when you want to limit the people who can get in to see this so they can be password controlled. And the last thing that Northcote will do is they'll archive it. Next technical issue you want to consider is the actual uplink. If you are doing it live, and you've got an uplink to the site, you're dependent on that. If you lose that link, then you're really stuffed with what you've got. So it really needs to be considered, is it worth paying a bit more to get something better, or should I really look at this very carefully? Other pitfalls you've got are the human ones. So can the person talk live on site and to the world? Can they stick to the script? Can they handle what goes on in the room? So you've got to consider those things. There's not much you can do about it, but you have to consider it beforehand. The one way to mitigate some of these issues is a lot of webcasts aren't quite live. So they're recorded, say, an hour, 2 hours beforehand. This gives them the comfort factor of changing the mind, changing the script, fluffing the lines, any technical issues. It cheats, but it's a good workaround for that. The first question that we would have you ask, or we would ask for the front end, it's an important one, is it live or pre-recorded? I mentioned just the 2-hour pre-recording. I don't mean that. I mean, is it possible to do this whole thing a week in advance or 2 or 3 days in advance? Can you get the people all together? In which case, you've got no problems. We can come along anywhere you are. We can record it. We can edit it. We can play with it, get it approved, load it up on the website, and on the day, push the button and it goes live. That's a very nice, comfortable way of doing these things, and it's worth considering. If it's not live, you've got to consider, what's it going to cost? Well, you've got a conference anyway. You add a dial-in unit, it's 100 quid or so. It's nothing great. You're going to add in slide functions. Well, again, that's just going to be a laptop with a link, so it's not much there. If you add the video, well, you've got a camera crew, you know what they cost. It's all quite linear and incremental. You know where you're going with it. You come to the big variable, which is the link from the site. You might have to start adding in links, and if this place doesn't have one, so if you came down the side, you'll have seen our satellite truck sitting outside with a big dish on top. On the back-end costs, again, fundamentals. You've got to set up the website. You've then got to add in a video function, maybe the chat versions. The big cost items, the big ticket items you should watch out for, this business of customizing it to make it look like a client site. Big variable is the cost per person per minute. You're going to get a bill for how many people and how long they're logged on for. Again, now this is where your costs go crazy. If you've suddenly said, oh, we're not going to let anybody get in, or we've got a list of 1,000 people and they all log in and it's a 2-day conference, it's going to shoot right up. Or if it's just for an hour and it's only 50 people, it's going to be lower. If when somebody comes up to you and says, I want to do a webcast, what questions do you ask to try and narrow this? You say, is it live? Because that makes a difference to the front-end costs. What's the content? Is it slides, video, interactivity? What is it you want? Next one is the venue. How good is the venue? You've got to work out what connection you're going to need. And last, of course, you need your audience size and duration. If you ask those 4 questions, or you get answers to those right at the beginning, you will get a much clearer idea of what it is that you need to do.